Welcome back, episode 132 of The Grouch and the Brainstorm, and I am Mike, and today we have a special guest. His name is Jimmy, and he is from the Tampa area of Florida. Been sober since 1983. I was 10 years old when Jimmy got sober. And I'm going to go ahead and apologize in advance. We had a lot of technical difficulties, so there's going to be some audio trouble in it, maybe a little low audio, nothing major. And Matt did a phone interview with Jimmy because we just could not get the video to connect with all three of us. So without further ado, though, I'm going to let Matt take it away, and I hope you guys enjoy the show, and we'll see you back on video for episode 133 later in the week.
This is Matt. I'm sitting with Jimmy. Mr. Jimmy is in Tampa, Florida, and we wanted to get his story recorded, and we had some internet issues, so we finally got it nailed down enough to get him where we could hear his story. He's been in recovery a long time, and welcome, Mr. Jimmy.
Hey, Matt, welcome. Thank you for all your hard work. And I'll just start. I'm kind of from the old school, like what it was like how I got there and how, where I'm at. I was originally born in Chicago to two alcoholic parents who moved down here to Clearwater or around Tampa. Both drank. And I started drinking when I was 16.
Okay.
Now, for my story, we all have different ones. Uh, Graduation, I got my first DUI when I was 18 years old, and I did not think I had a problem. And so I drank some more and got another DUI, and kind of just fast forward a little bit. By 24, I'd already been arrested probably 15 times.
Dang.
Three DUIs, I know. Multi-psychiatric hospitals, was homeless, and finally I got to the Salvation Army, and this was in 1983. Okay,
Okay.
I stayed there 6 months, and then I went to the Serenity Club, and I remember there was a sign above me that said I came for my thinking, or I came for my drinking, but I stayed for my thinking, and that was July 26th. That was the last day I had to drink.
In 1983.
That's correct.
Wow.
And
Wow.
AA was a lot different back then.
Yeah. Tell us about that early sobriety of, how that all happened.
Well, I was 24 years old. That I looked in that door. Everybody in there was over me, and I was ready to run right back out that door.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna tell you what stopped me. I knew, and this makes sense to anybody or it's listening, whatever. I had hit all those yes. There was no more yes for me,
Huh.
and it was just death. And that scared me. And I mean, I had like $3 to my name, and still no place to go. But I knew if I stayed sober, that would set the trend. So I stuck with it, and back then I was a greeter. I cleaned the ashtrays. They let me make coffee once. There's a reason for that. I don't drink coffee, and back then we only had 2 meetings, and we now have 750 here. But
Wow.
anyway, when I made that coffee, about 5 people yelled, "Who made this coffee?" And I didn't say a word. I just said, from now on, I'm cleaning the ashtrays, greeting people, and you know, doing things like that. But and the way it was different is, no, they didn't really want to hear from me, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, a couple guys just said, uh, just listen, and we want to go and do beginners meetings, And, I mean, they really stick with you. And a little intimidating. And but one became my sponsor, all the way in about 2014. So uh, we
Wow.
had a long relation. Uh, and but what had happened, it's like they didn't want me to see it, date anybody. Uh, I didn't either. I met my wife in 1983. I'm sorry, 1986. And in 1986, we were both working in a psychiatric. I know, and that's funny. Um, I was a psych, or actually, I was the vet nurse. I paid my way to go to LPN school back then. So I was the vet nurse, and she was a charge nurse.
Yeah.
So in 1986, and then we got married in 1991. I continued to go to A meetings, very actively, and sponsoring people, being my sponsor. Um, and I had two boys, one in 1993. I started a little horse. One in 1997. And, it was going along pretty good. And then um, I lost my dad, but I didn't want to share this. My dad died in 1999. And, uh, for anybody that's listening, my dad knew I was in AA, and he came in at the age of 57, and he stayed sober until he passed away with Alzheimer's. And my wife, was a nurse as well as I am. Uh, we both took care of him. And, was it hard to see somebody go from 175 pounds to 105? Yes. But as nurses, we did what we had to do, my dad.
Yeah.
And, so, but that was hard. And did I want to drink? No, because I knew what happened to me. I knew what I was like in those 8 years. And then in 2000, let's see, '05, I got cancer of the head and neck. And that was very scary because they, told, you know, uh, the doctor told my wife that I was going to die. And, I'm sitting there. I called everybody in the program I knew. And, you know, I was very scared. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't.
Yeah.
But I followed
Sure.
their instructions. And but I made that. That was 20 years ago. And, now, I'm still going to meetings. In fact, I just left one for this morning. And
Let me jump in and bug you a little bit. So going
oh,
back
yeah, yeah.
going back to the early days, you started drinking at 16, and I think a lot of us kind of, we all, no matter where in the ages and all that, but I was like you, I was like 14, 15 years old, and I knew something changed then. Like from the first time, it sort of changed the way I looked at things and all that good stuff. But you were talking about the DUIs, and it sounds like it escalated pretty quickly for you.
Yes, sir. And that's the kind of the story you'll hear, like with mine. Oh, I did all that stuff. I was fired for over 16 jobs, probably 20. That
Dang.
I can't remember, but I couldn't work. And yeah, everything like from, I mean, there was probably maybe a year of fun out of that, but from 17 to 18, I mean, it was just all downhill and correct, and it wasn't to where uh, the way I tell people was did I have blackouts? Yes, I did. Was I in handcuffs? Yes, I was. Um, and it's not anything I'm proud of.
Right.
There wasn't any felonies, but still, it didn't, you know. Um, when I share my story, they're like, how in Lord's name did you do all those things in 7 years? I was an alcoholic. I mean, I can remember 2 in the morning, or three, I was running around when people would leave. I was drinking their drinks.
Yeah.
And what's interesting, and for my case, was I asked a buddy who's in the program with me, I said, how did I keep money and stuff? He said, Jimmy, you go in and challenge people. And in chugging contests, I never saw you lose as long
Yeah.
as I knew you. I never saw you lose.
That's a
But
good
then you
hustle
look,
for an alcoholic.
yeah, it bought me a little time
Yeah.
until I realized I had the problem, see.
Yeah.
And that's when I was talking, like you said, okay, Jimmy, why didn't I go out? And another reason, down here, when I have seen people relapse, it's a part of the disease and it's very normal. But I always ask them, and they say, well, I wasn't going to meetings and I didn't call my sponsor. And
Hmm.
I'm like, oh, man, that's interesting. And, even though, I have 42 years, I've seen people, one guy I know, he had 44 years. I don't remember the reason I was chasing him, but um, he went back out. But yeah, you don't see that. It's not typical, but I'm still not immune. Like in this way, I'll go on emotional if I don't get to enough meetings, if that makes sense. So I have enough to where I'm usually going three or four, sometimes five a week, or I'm always daily in contact with another alcoholic because that's my service work. If
Sure.
that makes sense. Yeah. I mean, and it's carried also. I do volunteer work and just being because that was so selfish that you see in there. It was all about me. We were talking about that this morning at the meeting, and that's how I would think of me. And no, it's not about what Jimmy has or doesn't have. It's hey, when I wake up, what can I do in that next verse to get myself in a good spiritual way so I can be ready if somebody calls me and needs help. So that's kind of like, you know, a
I think
quick,
I think the
yeah,
thing that I came across you on Instagram, and Jimmy has a lot of good sobriety stuff on his Instagram page. It's JCP 83 Recovery, correct?
yeah, correct.
And
And
you
yeah,
guys go on there and check that out. He puts a lot of stuff on there, but the thing I liked about you before I'd ever talked to you was I figured that the 83 was your sobriety date. Okay. But you always say when you do a video, you say, I've been sober today.
absolutely.
And that I
And
like because I got sober in 2018. You got sober in 1983. Lacey, my fiance, 2018. All these different dates that we have, but all it is that date. And it doesn't matter if it's
absolutely.
45 years, a year, 6 months. We just have to do that correct thing that day.
And that's exactly why I do that. It's interesting you pick up on that. Some people do, some don't, but it is. I've just been sober for today. If you got up earlier than me, you got more time than me. That's the bottom line.
That's
And,
right.
and because it's a number, and that's all it is. And
I'll tell you something that we both have in common as well throughout the years, and this will tell you how alcoholics are. I don't drink coffee either. And so I had that exact same experience. I went in at early sobriety and said, man, I'm going to make the coffee. And those coffee drinkers came in and took a sip of that and they said, who did this? This is terrible.
say, oh, it was bad
Yeah.
because,
Yeah.
like I said, now, you can be choosy on your meetings, at least, where I'm at, in the Bay Area down here, we have seven, like I said, over 700 a week. They start 7 in the morning till about 11 at night.
That's
So yeah,
fantastic.
and that helps people, and I can help people, whatever age they are,
Yeah.
because I've got one guy go to a meeting, uh, I mean, they have a year, and then there's another gentleman, he has 62 years.
Yeah.
tomorrow night.
Wow.
I see. Yeah. So, and I've been married. Let's see. I'm going to get this right. Oh, 34 years. It's a wonderful nurse. Um, that was Sharon. We ended up getting married, like I said. And that's how, you got to tell, even still, Jimmy, you might want to get to a meeting if I'm getting, off course with my buddies.
Yeah.
We're not out to dinner with last night. We were talking and, you know, um, I got my son's wedding coming up and he's going to have a 3 hour open bar. And somebody asked me, I'm going to taste that. Well, I'll have my wife and me and uh, the people non-drink, and I'm not worried about that.
Yeah.
And let's see. Oh yeah, like I think I shared, I just finished a book. It's going to be coming out in the next month or so. But I'll be, you know, talking about that a little more once it's published. It just went to the publisher, so. Um,
And
and
what's the title of the book?
oh, from homelessness to the 12 steps, one day
Okay.
at a time. By the way, uh, the 12 steps, I did it. We all do them differently, and I would never tell them per se, just the way I did it, and um, and what worked for me. And then some prayers, some of my favorite prayers throughout the thing, and some, I had probably a couple hundred things I heard at meetings. I didn't just not uh, all those, but I've kept in my phone, and just maybe the best 5 to 10 that uh, you know that the editor thinks is going to choose out of those, whatever. So that she wants to put in. So, but yeah, things have gotten, as I've gotten, older and stuff. Because people say, Jimmy, you want to drink? I think I'm like, no, it hasn't. That obsession for me probably I don't know exactly when, but I can't think of when it's come back. I mean, with that cancer or just anything, or just because I know it's not an option. If that
Yeah.
makes sense,
Yeah.
you know.
Sure.
Because I drank. I mean, it was the blackouts. Like you gotta remember, there's three of us. We were living in South Tampa, and we couldn't even afford 140 months of rent, and that's bad.
Yeah.
And we were all working, all three of us, and it's because we were all drinking. And two of us, like I said, my buddies, he's in, in I just celebrated his 30th year, so that's like why I say on there sober for the day, because on Instagram I've noticed a lot of newcomers. I don't want to scare somebody away or something,
Right.
you know, because then on the flip side down here in Florida, I see people coming in now around, you know, in their 60s, 70s, things like that,
Sure.
or whatever age. We're not immune from, whatever age. Just because I got lucky for now, you know. So,
I think Jimmy and me being coming in 2018, we have several old timers, and I mean that with all, not in a negative way, as a good thing as far as sobriety. We have a lot of 20-year folks. Uh, we have some 30, and we have a few 40. And the thing that like hit me was, as I was early in sobriety, is watching them at meetings, and I remember thinking, well, I wonder why they're here. Like, they've been sober that long. And I thought about that over the years, and I went, it's almost like it's service work, because if the guy's got 35 years and I have a year, and he comes to 4 or 5 meetings a week, what excuse do I have? So the fact that the old timers are in there, there's a lot of benefits to it, but that was one that I always appreciated in my own sobriety, was going, it kind of kept my mind where it needed to be.
yeah, exactly. It's with the meeting, like I go on Monday, there's I mean, I'm kind of like the rookie in a sense. I mean, people are Charlie from Boston probably has 43, and the other one's 40, whatever. And but the deal, like you said, when we go, it's not about us so much. I mean, it is, obviously keeps us so, but we're what, for a newcomer, because there's also people just coming. There's also people there in 1 year. Uh, 2 years, whatever. In fact, there was one, it's just Friday night meeting I was at, there was a newcomer. Today's meeting, I believe it was. So see, and that, because that's been asked me a multiple times, Matt, why, Jim, you haven't drank in 42 years. Why do you still go? Well, I go to help others. That's
Sure.
exactly why I go. And as long as I live, Matt, I plan to go. If I have to go in a wheelchair or whatever, I'm
Sure.
going to go to help others because that's what Bill W. started this. It was Dr. Silkworth on Bill Wilson's last book gave him, regular prescription, you know, trust God, clean health, and help others.
That's right. That's right.
You know, that's what he said on regular prescription of paper, right? And Bill Wilson, I'm pretty sure the day he died, he was still out there. You know, if I remember correctly, I think he died. I don't remember the exact year, but you know, and I know he was active out there. And I think with that, for me, isolation, or I for me, isolation is not good. That's I love being around people, and I'm noticing, like a buddy of mine used to have trouble because he lived alone. He hated it, you know,
Yeah.
and over this place, it can be like return. I have a American Foxhound. Now this is a 60-pound dog, but this dog it ate, barks, and then it howls, and we have an open floor plan. And that's why I came in for this phone call into my room,
Yeah.
me and my wife's room. So if she barks, I hope you won't hear her. Uh, Has this happened before? When I was doing a podcast once the other day, and now see, I'm getting like, I'm moving around, doing around the parks, the area. So people can say, wow, they got some cool parks down in Florida. Or, one of my would be, some people I've gotten close to, um, or said they want to come down here, and that'd be great to come down. It's Serenity Club, not that I'm selling it, but it's been around since the '60s, and that's where I started in '83. And a lot of people go to, and they have meetings from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. 7 days a week, right downtown Clearwater. So, and
That's
that's
awesome.
kind of that's my home group, but I go to other ones too. And the thing that I would tell people is, uh, uh, you know, that, if you're drinking every day, well, why, and that's what I always asked. I mean, I always know along with this, he was like, you stick with the winners and meeting makers make it. And they told me that. They said, Jimmy, you drink every day. You you know, I do believe there's a lady on your crew, so I'm not gonna. I try to be mindful of my language. So, but they had no, you know,
Right.
but a little more, Jimmy, you make sure you get to meeting every day.
That's
And
right.
we set the tone for you back when you came in. You're supposed to be doing this. And I pretty much, get there, you know, unless there's a really good reason, because you can also do Zoom. And there's nothing wrong with that. You can get on that. Actually, seven times, yeah, 7 times 24 in New York or Australia. So, and with that being said, see, there's really, you can just, um, and that'll just help calm you down, or for me anyway, if I get, or because there are times that, some people say, "Gee, you still get angry." Yes, I get angry,
Sure.
but I just don't know how to deal with it. I don't rip somebody's head off or something. You
Yeah,
know, it's just,
yeah. We just
yeah, so,
learn new ways of dealing with life. Life 101.
yeah, exactly. Because yeah, it's about you know all the years I didn't have those skills. I didn't have parents, teaching. Back in the day, at least when I was, the moms were staying home and probably wondering what was going on in my family, but nobody had really said anything because they were kind of sneaky about it,
Right.
and so. And my dad didn't do anything real crazy, I guess. So uh, he never hit any of us. He might, And I was at that. Let's see, at 14, I was in, a lot taller. He was only 5'2", and I was already about 5'7", so I could get him to bed. I was just carrying the bed. And so things, it worked out good. And, you know, ended up, I didn't ever think I'd get married, more or less have a family and, you know, um, and just other good things. Things just come to your higher power. I mean, there's been, at first, my older son was having some problems with depression, anxiety. Well, I got news. They're all gone now. I
Yeah,
mean, he's
yeah.
living here now with me, and he did a 180. Not me. My higher power turned it around. But about 6 months ago, he was over in Tampa in a psychiatric hospital, and he's back with us, doing great now.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
I
well,
just thought
Jimmy,
so.
Jimmy, I appreciate you taking the time and dealing with me and Mike on trying to get this thing up and going. We always have bugs to work out. This is just part of the recording and doing that kind of thing. It's always something going on. But I really appreciate you coming on, and I want everybody to go check out his Instagram page, JCP 83 Recovery on Instagram. And he has a book coming out. Y'all can check that out. I'm sure he'll have a link on there for the book. And
Oh, that's good.
I'm going to share some stuff as well about it. So you guys look it up and let's support that. And I'm interested to read it. So
Hey, thank you so much. Okay.
yes, sir. Be careful down there, and we appreciate it.
Okay. God
Thank you.
bless. Okay.
You
All right.
too.